Today on Locked On Red Wings, Erik Gustafsson is struggling to produce. How can the Red Wings fix that?
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News, while I am a color commentator for Oakland University ACHA D1 Hockey. Scotty, we got after a high of yesterday's episode covering the victory, we have a low here, kind of in similar fashion to the episode we had about Kane and Tarasenko. I want to talk about Erik Gustafsson in this hockey game, and if we're lucky, we'll have a similar result to that conversation where Patrick Kane had a game-winning goal and a huge primary assist a day after we asked, what can we do about Patrick Kane? Hopefully Erik Gustafsson, who has been struggling mightily almost halfway through the season, will find the back of the net for the first time in a Red Wings uniform shortly after this episode drops. The old Locked On Red Wings reverse jinx, as
we can hope.
Do you remember, Scotty, last year, like every single time, for instance, we talked about Alex DeBrincat. He was on that big drought, and he scored a goal that night. Mm-hmm. Or even, do you remember when we interviewed Oscar Sundqvist all those years ago, and then the night after we interviewed him, he scored 2 goals? We have a touch.
We still have on record him saying he would play for your men's league team.
Didn't Carter Mazur agree to that too?
I don't actually remember.
I'd have to check the record on that one.
I know Oscar did, though. I know Sonny said when he retired from the NHL, he would play for your men's league team.
In 10 to 20 years, my men's league team is going to be stacked. We need the help, too. All right, Scotty, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com today to get started. Scotty, Erik Gustafsson, you signed him in the offseason to a 2-year, $2 million per year contract with the Detroit Red Wings. And you signed him to kind of be the replacement to Shayne Gostisbehere, right? Shayne Gostisbehere had, I think it was 57 points with the Detroit Red Wings last year. Extremely sheltered defenseman with Detroit. And it was kind of a defensive black hole. But he scored, and he was very effective on the power play. So we were a little mixed on him. We both agreed, it's time to let him walk because his team wants to get better defensively, and Shayne Gostisbehere does not help because of the fact that he lacks so much defensively. He has to be super sheltered in order to for this team to have him produce, and that's hurting the team and the rest of the lineup. That was our reasoning. So they signed Erik Gustafsson, who had 30-some points last year. He was a power play 2 guy with the New York Rangers. We're thinking, okay, his defensive numbers are better. He doesn't score as much, but he's still a power play guy. So he can be a Shayne Gostisbehere light, be marginally better defensively. That fits the narrative of what this team wants to do. Cutscene, he's not producing in any of the fashions that Shayne Gostisbehere did, while also being the most sheltered defenseman in the NHL. So that brings us to the topic, Scotty. What can the Red Wings do that they haven't already done to try and get Erik Gustafsson going?
Pray? Seriously. We can talk about mixing around the pairs and stuff, but that only gets you so far. I'm down to try something new, just kind of entirely with the bottom 4. So I guess I'm not against him, but they've tried putting him with different players. They've put him with Hall at one point. Obviously, he I don't know, man. I think if you are trying to maximize, if you were to ask me, hey, how do you maximize Gustafsson's play style? How do you get the most out of him? It would be shelter the heck out of him, only put him in the offensive zone, and give him some power play opportunities sometimes. And that is kind of what they're doing when he does play. They've already gone to the extreme, the extreme in terms of, sheltered deployment. I don't know. I mean, right. And it's not a $10 million AAV contract or anything. The Wings aren't setting themselves back years because he's not producing, but it was a 2-year deal. This is something that it isn't just, it was a 1-year kind of flyer and it didn't work, so whatever. So, they are going to continue trying to find ways to get him, back on the horse named Friday. But like, I really don't know. Like, genuinely, I do not know. I think you continue giving him offensive opportunities and hope that he can turn it around. Cause like, that's his game.
Right. And that's the thing too. Like, it's not that they're not utilizing him in a way that does not befit his play. This is kind of similar to the Patrick Kane situation. Like we discussed it, at a certain point, it becomes on you to start producing. Like, obviously with Patrick Kane, he at times wasn't playing with the highest caliber line mates. Sure, that's fair. But when you're a Hall of Fame caliber player, the onus is on you to elevate your teammates, not for your teammates to elevate you. And he was getting really soft competition. This last game, they finally got the matchups to work. And that part is, on the loan too. You got to make the matchups work. You got to make the lines work as best as you can, but you're still Patrick Kane. This last game, they were able, and against Toronto too, they were able to get the lineups to match up well, and they were able to score a bunch of goals. Gave up a bunch of goals too, but they were able to get him going in that regard. That's all you can continue to do with Erik Gustafsson. Because when I tell you he is the most sheltered defenseman in the league, and when I say sheltered, I mean the quality of competition he faces and the offensive zone deployments he gets versus the defensive zone deployments is the most extreme in the NHL. If you were to go to Puck IQ, and I'll even throw it up here for the people who are watching on YouTube because we have a video format. Why not share it? If you were to throw this up here on Puck IQ, the quality of competition, the time on the ice percent, the time on the ice spent against what they call grit, which is your bottom six players, who do you see at the top of the screen, Scotty?
Let me zoom in here. That would be Erik Gustafsson.
I could zoom in for you, make your life easier.
Wow, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Erik Gustafsson, again, you can see it at the top of the screen, minimum of 100 minutes played on the ice, which is still bottom pair. Like he's a guy he's been healthy scratched a few times. He's played over 100 minutes. With a minimum 100 minutes played, he is the most sheltered player in the league because this is filtered by grit intensity, which is, again, their nice word of bottom six.
Grit intensity, dude. I'm going to turn that into a actual stat instead of a comparable, instead of a qualifier or quantifier.
That's
real stat.
That's Puck IQ's nice way of saying bottom six.
Yeah,
but you can see down here,
grit intensity. That's sick.
He leads the league in time on the ice spent, percentage of his time on the ice spent against the bottom six by almost 3% over his own teammate who is a rookie. 59% of his ice time comes against the bottom six. And remember, he's not a power play guy too. Despite that, he has 5 points on the season. They've got to get him going, but they're doing everything they can. Honestly, at this point, Scotty, the onus is on him to get going. And I know he's had some bad luck, and I'm sure there's some mental stuff going on. Like when he got robbed the other day, was it against Toronto he got robbed, or was it against Philly he got robbed? I can't quite remember, but he got robbed recently where I was just like, man, that's the one that can finally get you going. And, you'll want to pull him out of the lineup, and they have, but unfortunately, to all of our listeners out there, you need Erik Gustafsson to be the 31-point version of himself he was last year. That had 20-plus assists and 6 or 7 goals. So it is a short-term solution to healthy scratch him, but you need Erik Gustafsson to figure it out for this team to find success. This is a player who has so much more to give to this team, but cannot figure it out. And you look at how he's compared to even his own teammates, right? You saw Albert Johansson was the second most sheltered defenseman in the league, but he's a rookie. So, it's a little bit more acceptable. I'm gonna share up my screen again here, Scotty. Sorry.
Bad.
I appreciate you doing that for me.
I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah. You're something, all right. Here is their deployments on their own team, right? We already knew Moritz Seider and Simon Edvinsson got the toughest deployments on the team than the most defensive zone deployments. And you can see that here on Dauber Sports Frozen Tools, their usage map. You can see in the top left corner, Moritz Seider and Simon Edvinsson. On the bottom right, you have Erik Gustafsson and Albert Johansson. And now Erik Gustafsson, in the really sheltered minutes, is producing opportunities, shot attempts, but nothing is going in. He isn't contributing to any actual goals. That's why his bubble is blue, right? Because that means he's producing more shot attempts than shot attempts he is facing. That is great, except for the fact that you better when you're playing the bottom of the barrel players the other team has the offer and you're getting offensive zone deployments exclusively. So it's a situation where you've given him the easiest path to success you possibly can, and he's not finding success. And is some of it him playing on the right side when he's playing naturally on the left? Sure, it's similar with Tarasenko. There are things you could do to improve it. But giving him tougher competition isn't going to solve that. So you just got to mix and match his partner on the bottom pair. Just hope he figures it out, and that is a bad situation to be in.
Well, and then the other question is, at what point is it, this is like very big picture, but at what point is it, this is super negative. At what point is it just straight up no longer worth it to even try to optimize him, right? Like, I know that's super demoralizing and negative, but like they clearly reached that with Justin Hall last year, right? Where they were like, all right, well, like that, it is in the best interest of the team to just not play you ever. Like at what point is it, okay, well, he is the most sheltered player in the NHL and still not producing. We kind of just have to count our losses here, and he's going to be a depth defenseman.
Right.
And we're going to go with Hall and Aljo.
And like, I know this comes across as super negative, and like, I think to some extent it's very warranted, right? Because as Red Wings fans, we're very frustrated because this is a guy you expected to quarterback your power play and provide at least 25 to 30 points, if not a little bit more, and he's struggled to do so. But the other aspect of it is like, they need him to, and I'm rooting for him to find success because, again, his success is the Red Wings' success, but I genuinely don't know what else you could do to help him out. Like, he has worse numbers in much better situations than his contemporaries named Moritz Seider and Simon Edvinsson, who, again, are much better defensemen all around. Like, they just play a different role and have a different role. But with Seider and Edvinsson getting the toughest minutes in the league, how do they have better analytical numbers versus him on their own team, like relative to the teammates? It's insane. So, I mean, I'm rooting for you, Gustafsson. We need you to figure it out because you're here for 2 years and you have so much. I know he has so much more to give, but I don't know what else the Red Wings could do to help him figure it out.
Right. I don't know what they can change. We're already at the extreme. I'm not really sure how many other alternatives there are to what they've already been doing.
There is no further down the lineup he could go besides being in the press box. With Patrick Kane and Tarasenko, you could have that conversation. But, like, there's nowhere else to go. You can
Gustafsson
go up.
Already I mean, he's been healthy a few times this year already. Like, it's not even like a new, like, oh, we're going to have to healthy him. Like, they've already done that several times.
So, defensive signings have been rough. We can say that.
There's an argument that all the signings outside of goaltending have been rough. We just did a whole episode about Tarasenko and Kane.
Jury's still out, in my opinion, on Comfer. I know he's had a rough season, but he had a good season last year, so I'm giving him a little bit more time.
I don't dislike JT Comfer.
No, I like JT Comfer. I'm a JT Comfer fan.
Yeah, me too.
When he's playing well. Scotty, we're going to do a quick break. When we return,
I only like him when he's good at hockey.
You know what they call me, Bandwagon Brian. We're at a quick break.
Some alliteration there. You should not have said that. I'm going to only call you that for the rest of your life now. I don't care. I don't care. We're going to head to segment 2. Stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. You know what's not a mistake, Scotty? PrizePicks, and they're today's sponsor. If you love sports, you're going to love PrizePicks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into real money. Whether it's hockey, football, or any of your favorite sports, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in on the action. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on PrizePicks. Plus, this holiday season, they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Pickmas and offering 2 free picks in December. And when your picks hit, PrizePicks makes it easy to cash out. You can get your money in as fast as 15 minutes. This week on PrizePicks, I'm eyeing the hockey board. I'm looking at Jack Hughes for more than 4 shots on goal. And Artemi Panarin, the New York Rangers have been struggling, but he's still very good. But we're going to keep those expectations tempered. Just 1 assist for Artemi Panarin. It's so simple to make my picks and have fun with friends while potentially cashing out fast. Download the app today and use code LOCKDOWNNHL for $50 instantly after you place that first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly guaranteed. You don't even have to win. PrizePicks, run your game.
Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. One other thing, though, too, Scotty, I want to bring up Gustafsson. And we've talked about this a lot, too, because what haven't we talked about a lot at this point, 30 games into the season? Can you blame, is it fair to blame the system for Gustafsson's struggle? And I don't mean 100%, right? Because nothing's black and white. But do you think the system is adversely affecting him?
Yes, and this is something I wanted to say in segment 1 too, so I'm glad we're saying it now. I think that very similar to the conversation we had with Patrick Kane, and I'm not trying to compare them as players, obviously, but the way that Patrick Kane plays is he is at his best when the Wings have possession of the puck for long periods of time. And they have never had the possession of the puck for long periods of time this season. And that's one of the reasons that we talked about why Patrick Kane's been struggling. I think it's very similar for Gustafsson, right? Like his skill set is as such where when the Wings consistently and are cycling correctly in the offensive zone and actually getting multiple opportunities and keeping possession of the puck for long periods of time, that is when he is at his best, and that is when he can produce the most for you. And because the Wings never have possession of the puck ever, it is, I'm sure, very tough for him to be utilized at his, fullest potential and at his peak. So I absolutely think that this can fall back onto that conversation we've had with a few of the players so far.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like a double-edged sword, right? Like, obviously, I think the system is making it hard for some of these players to find success, but it's also not as if, like, that. I find it hard to fully blame that. I do still lean that most of the blame at this point is on the player himself, and I'm not trying to be like, Erik Gustafsson, you suck. I'm just trying to, because obviously I want him to get going. The Red Wings need his depth scoring to get going because he's been given power play opportunities, right? And we've seen moments where he's on the power play as quarterback, has made good moves and it just hasn't gone in. But like at this point with how sheltered he is, like we play a defense first system with the exception of him. Like he's allowed to just get offensive zone starts and just wheel out there. So like it almost doesn't even apply to him at times. And of course, like the system of course applies to everyone, but he is being given the opportunity to produce in the offensive zone against the weakest competition the other team has to offer. So I find that a little bit of a convenient excuse to blame for his situation, but I do say that it does carry some weight, right? Like everything's not 100%. It's not black and white. There's nuance to every single conversation. Because I just want to reiterate, I think Gustafsson has a lot more in the tank to give, and part of it might at this point just be mental. I think he just needs that first goal to get that confidence back, and he can be a productive defenseman for the Red Wings on the back end. But right now, with his lack of production, the turnovers he makes, the turnstile he is in the defensive zone, the just mishandling of the puck, the bad passes, like everything right now is he's just, unfortunately, as it is, he's hurting the team rather than helping. You need him and you want him to get going because I want him to succeed as a player because he's a human, right? But I also want the team to succeed. And for that to happen, he has to find success. So you just got to figure it out. Like, it sucks that that's the solution. I don't have a hard cut solution for you guys. Like, you got to play him on the top pair. Like, it's just, he's been given every opportunity, and he at this point has to figure it out on his own. Once he does, I think he will be a productive defenseman for the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, we hope. 2-year deal. Like I said, this isn't a Band-Aid that you're just going to rip off at the end of the season. This is presumably somebody who's going to be here next season too. So they got to keep working with them and keep, changing things around, whether it's pairs or I don't know, maybe it is deployment still. Like, they got to find a way to get the most out of him because it's a multi-year commitment.
We're like, I understand he's not the he's 32, right? Like he's not the 60-point defenseman he was that year in Chicago. But the last few years, last year he had 31 points. The year prior to that, he had 42 points. The year prior to that, he had 18. So, like, I don't think asking for somewhere between 20 and 30 points is that big of an ask. I just don't buy that his drop-off is this severe. I just don't buy that. That'd be an insane drop-off from year to year.
I hope you're right.
And that's 3 different teams he played with. That was Washington, Chicago, Toronto, and New York. 4. Sorry, because a stint in Toronto was only 9 games. That he was productive with. That's 4 different systems. So it's clearly like he can make it work in different systems.
Well, we have our own questions about the, Wings coaching and system as is. So I'm sure that's a part of it.
We've had that conversation 1,000 times, and we will probably 1,000 more. Scotty, let's go do a quick break. We got a double header against the Montreal Canadiens. A
home and home.
Last time they had a home and home, they won in dramatic fashion both nights and ultimately missed out on the playoffs despite winning both those games. So hopefully there's no flashbacks to that scene, which I'm sure they'll show on the television, the Perron buzzer beater and the Lucas Raymond buzzer beaters and all that, just to remind us that they didn't make the playoffs. But we'll preview the home and home against the Montreal Canadiens next on Locked On Red Wings. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, this is the first time the Red Wings will have seen the Montreal Canadiens all season, and they're seeing them twice, Friday and Saturday, a home and home. First question for you. What the hell? Why do we keep playing home and homes against the Montreal Canadiens? I do not understand.
I can't answer that. Wish I could.
Hard-hitting analysis. You heard it here first, folks.
I don't make the schedules, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, it's weird. Like I don't, yes.
Don't you have an in with the NHL?
Yeah. I got an insider in NHL schedule making. That's a plug I have for sure.
The Montreal Canadiens are 12, 16, and 3. They're 7th in the Atlantic Division. I think they're close to bottom in the league, if not the bottom in the league. Wait, 7th in the Atlantic Division? Have they surpassed Buffalo?
I think
so. They have.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Buffalo, man. God bless
Buffalo's a point behind them. They're 11, 17, and 4.
God bless the Buffalo Sabres. That's all I'll say. God bless them. They are not a great team, but they are a fun team. And that's kind of similar to where they were at last year. They have the addition of Patrick Laine, who's in 7 games, has 6 goals, all in the power play. I don't even think he has a 5-on-5 point yet. I think he's actually getting crushed at 5-on-5. But he's been a really exciting story as he just continues to feast on the power play. 6 goals in 7 games and 7 points. He's been great. But this is a very beatable hockey team. Nick Suzuki leads the way, 32 points in 31 games. Cole Caulfield's got 29 and 31, and Lane Hudson is also a big story for the Montreal Canadiens. The undersized, offensive-based defenseman. He's got the slick hands and all. He's got 22 points in 31 games. I think he just got his first career goal the other night as well. They are a fun team, but they are not a great team. Red Wings should be able to beat them. That being said, they probably won't, because that's how these things go when we talk about beatable hockey teams.
Dude, so I pulled up the standings to look at, where they were in Atlantic and whatnot, and the whole NHL standings came up. The Predators are 9, 17, and 6.
Yeah, they're awful, dude.
I knew they were awful. I didn't know they have the worst record in the NHL, dude. I knew they, it's everywhere. I knew that they got off to a bad start. I didn't realize they're worse than the Hawks and the Sharks and the Ducks.
And they still beat the Rangers.
And the Sabres. That's just wild to me. The thing that we always talk about with back-to-backs in general, and home and home certainly as well, is just that more, I don't have the exact numbers, so I shouldn't say more times than not, but it feels like rather often you split. And it's just, this is still NHL talent. As you said, the Habs have some pretty solid young players. This is a team that every summer we kind of go, hey, I know everyone wants to focus on the Senators and wants to focus at the top 4 teams in this division, but like the Canadiens are coming. Like they are on their way. They are on the rise, and they really like they have a nice young core in place. I love watching Suzuki play. He's one of my favorite players in the NHL, and I feel like they are trying to find a comparable, and I can't off the top of my head, but they're just a team that has a young core in place and is just waiting for them to grow and develop and to obviously add around that core now. And, like you said, it won't be this year. They'll still be, toward the bottom in the NHL this season, certainly. But this is a team that on any given night, I feel like can beat you. And I think that this is certainly no different for a Detroit Red Wings team that has been not very good and wildly inconsistent on top of that. So it's tough to win both games in a back-to-back. I'd imagine we see 2 different goaltenders, which is why Billy Husso was sent down to Grand Rapids yesterday, as you're listening to this on Thursday. Good note. I would imagine we'd see Talbot and Lyon. And if we can, I would be thrilled if we could walk out of it with 4 points, but I kind of go into back-to-backs just expecting a split.
Yeah, they are one of the few teams in the NHL, Scotty, that are worse than the Detroit Red Wings in 5-on-5 categories. Granted, the Red Wings are 28th in both expected goals for percentage and Corsi.
That's even more of a testament, being worse than 28th. Yeah.
Because again, they are a rebuilding franchise. Sure. They do, however, have a pretty solid special teams group. I think they're 14th in the league in the power play, and they're 11th on the penalty kill. Yeah. Where's the Red Wings penalty kill at after they went 1 for 1? Their penalty kill is 31st in the league. That's 67.9. Their power play
kill.
Is,
sorry, I thought you said the power play. Yeah, the penalty kill is not 7th.
Yeah. Power play sits 8th right now. Okay, so this is a team that the Red Wings should be able to beat. Of course, Simon Edvinsson, haven't heard anything about him. That's not a good sign in my opinion. Obviously, we don't know anything.
Yeah, I don't know. The Wings are just weird. They don't say anything ever. So.
We're not going to find out until practice.
I feel like if Husso got sent down, if they were really worried about him missing time, we'd see somebody get called up. No.
Yeah, but they got time yet. Like it's not.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you're making one announcement and doing one move, why would you not do both of them? Maybe that's just like ridiculous and stupid. We'll see, but.
Well, I mean, half the things you say are. But
I think it's more than half, brother. Yeah.
The thing about Husso getting sent down too is it kind of baffled me because the team's at with Husso healthy, they're at 23 players. So they're at the roster limit, yes, but he's been playing fairly well. So I was surprised to see him sent down, unless they just genuinely don't see him getting regular playing time. And stop me if you've heard this conversation before. But sending him down to the AHL, now he's got to compete with Sebastian Cossa and Jack Campbell for playing time. So there's not really consistent playing time there either. Maybe they sent him down to
open up a roster spot to bring up a defenseman to replace him.
I did think that as a possibility, because what if they need what if Simon Edvinsson's injury is not IR eligible? And so he doesn't come off the active roster, he stays on there kind of like Talbot did when he was hurt. So now they need a roster spot. Husso can still get sent down. That was the possibility. I don't know who they're calling up. I haven't looked at who they could potentially call up, I should say. I haven't looked at the roster on left side D-men, but they already have 6 D-men, even if he's hurt. Not a great core. Like you're looking at Sherratt and probably Seider as the pairs, followed by, Petrie and Johansson, Petrie and Gustafsson on the left side, and then Hull and Johansson.
I think if we see a pair with Petrie and Johansson on the ice,
So maybe they do need to call up a defenseman. Maybe they do need to make someone available. Antetokounmpo, he's a right shot defenseman, but that's the only one off the top of my head. Please. William Wallander, maybe him finally. I don't know what AHL vets they got.
Wallander, let's go.
Right? Can Austin Watson play D? We'll see.
Sure. He's a dog. What can he do?
And the other possibility is they sent Ville Husso down just simply to open up a roster spot to save on cap, right? Because we learned about cap accrual earlier in the season.
For sure.
But, again, outside that, pretty beatable hockey team. So, we'll see what happens. I don't have high hopes right now. Hopefully we exit the weekend with a 4-game winning streak, but we'll see. Scotty,
cool.
I got nothing else to say about any of this. I know we have How Do You Feel About It Friday on the show sheet. That was kind of a if we need it thing. I don't know if you want to ask me any questions. Otherwise, we can just send
I
it
don't
weekend.
care about you, so no.
That was more of a statement, not a question, but okay.
How do you feel about your holiday week next week, brother? You doing anything fun?
It'll be a blast. Seeing both families, Christmas Eve
Nice.
for one, Christmas Day on the other. I get to work from home all week, which is a nice
Always a plus.
addition. I appreciate work letting us do that as a little holiday gift. So it'll be fun. Looking forward to it. How about you?
Man. What'd you say?
How about you?
Oh, yeah. I'll be hanging out with my dad a lot, which will be fun. There's so many different like branches in my family tree. I have, like 65 Christmases to go to. So it'll be a busy one, but it'll be nice to see everyone for sure.
How do you feel about the Tigers offseason so far?
You know what? I feel great about sleeping. I'm very pro snooze. I'm pretty tired right now, actually. So thanks for asking.
You're welcome. Okay. That'll do it.
Yeah. You look cute today.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You do too.
Just saying. I think your eyes are in great shape.
You're insane. All right. We'll be back with 2 game recaps on Monday. So stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team.
We ball
every day.
every day.